second part of this tutorial, we have now finished about 20 to 21 inches of the length of the seed stitch pattern. We have a rectangular piece, and now we'll go about binding off the stitches. So for the bind off, we continue with the same pattern. Our first stitch will be a knit. We take it, wind the loop around the yarn, and drop the stitch. The next stitch is a purl. We take the yarn forward, take the loop, go around, pull out the loop and drop the stitch. Now the most important part of the bind off is that this stitch has to be dropped off. The first stitch is taken up by the left side needle. It is pulled over the second loop and it is dropped down. So now we are left with only one loop on the right hand needle. The next stitch is a knit. So we take the needle from the front, wind the yarn around, pull out the needle and drop the stitch. Same way, we take the left hand needle below the loop of the first one which is remaining on the needle. We take it over and drop it. We are always going to be left with one needle, and these stitches are now being bound off. Again, the yarn is brought to the front. From the front, wrap the yarn around, drop the stitch, take the first loop and pull it over and drop it. The next is a knit. So we continue the same. We have now continued along the entire length, binding it off. You may have to keep the length of the yarn tightened to make sure that this loop remains tightened on the needle so that it doesn't fall off. After we have the last loop left on the hook, we can cut out about 12 inches of yarn and push it through the loop so that it's tightened. Now that we have a rectangular piece, we can now see this rectangular piece. What we have to first do is fold it around and sew up the edges along the long side. For this, we can take this extra yarn which we have kept. We have to use either a large needle or any other needle that you may have, and you can just put it through and just bind in the stitches. The best part about this is that there is no front and back side. You can use either of the sides. Make sure that the stitches are not too tight, otherwise it will lead to cringing of the yarn. Make sure that you are keeping the rows uniform, otherwise your the end of the length may not fit properly. So we continue as I'm showing through the length. At the end of joining the longer edges, you will be left with a tube like piece which is joined at one edge. When you fold it in, we have the shape of a headband, but for this particular piece we are going to be incorporating a twist, and for that this is the side which is the joining side, and we have to rotate it 180 degrees. This is our twist, and then we have to join it along this shorter section. So again, we take a needle, we take a yarn, and we can just join it along this shorter section. Instead of going through both the loops, we can even go through taking a single side, which will make it a open hollow inside. So we continue to bind this and then we'll see you again. Here now I'm going through all the 4 layers, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and joining the loop. So we get a complete bind of and we continue. After you've completed the bind off completely, we are now left with a cute looking headband with a twist. And if this is your first knitting project, it is perfect because it has only very basic knit and purl stitches, and still the final look gives you a really nice, a fancy look. This is if you use a single colored yarn, and this is if you use a variegated yarn. If you have yarn with longer color variations, you may be able to incorporate a stripe, and this is a thicker version, this is a thinner version. Both of them look really nice. We hope you share your patterns with us on India Yarn Circle very soon. Bye bye.